doing the right thing because they can't believe the numbers. American exports are now up by more than $150 billion. Domestic steel production is up by 300,000 tons a month, and it's doubling over the next 4 months. It's doubling and tripling, and we have steel plants being built all over the country. Nobody thought they'd see that. Factory construction is up by 41%, and that number is really going to skyrocket right now because that's during a process that they're putting in to get their approvals, and we've given very, very quick,
good morning, everybody.
fast approvals. In the process, we've made historic trade deals with partners covering 40% of all U.S. trade. Some of the greatest companies and countries in the world. We have countries as our partner, too. The European nations, Japan, South Korea. They're our partners. They've gone into massive deals with us, especially on oil and gas process. That these agreements raise growth and cause stock markets to boom, not only in the U.S., but virtually every country that came to make a deal, because as you've learned, when the United States goes up, you follow. It's really become a staple. In America, I've stopped the nation-wrecking energy policies that drive up prices while sending jobs and factories to the world's worst polluters. They are indeed polluters. Under Sleepy Joe Biden, new domestic oil and gas leases fell by 95%. Think of that. And they wonder, why was gasoline going up so fast? The gasoline actually topped $5 a gallon, and some places $7 a gallon, and more than 100 major power plants were violently shut down by incompetent people that had no idea what the hell they were doing. Under my leadership, U.S. natural gas production is at an all-time high by far. U.S. oil production is up by 730,000 barrels a day, and last week we picked up 50 million barrels from Venezuela alone. Venezuela has been an amazing place for so many years, but then they went bad with their policies. 20 years ago, it was a great country, and now it's got problems, but we're helping them. And those 50 million barrels, we're going to be splitting up with them, and they'll be making more money than they've made in a long time. Venezuela is going to do fantastically well. We appreciate all of the cooperation we've been giving. We've been giving great cooperation. Once the attack ended, and they said, let's make a deal. More people should do that. But Venezuela is going to make more money in the next 6 months than they've made in the last 20 years. Every major oil company is coming in with us. It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing to see. The leadership of the country has been very good. They've been very, very smart. The price of gasoline is now below $2.50 a gallon in many states, $2.30 a gallon in most states. Then we'll soon be averaging less than $2 a gallon. In many places, it's already down even lower, $1.95 a gallon. Numerous states are at $1.99, numbers that nobody has heard for years. Actually, since my last administration, we got it down to around those numbers. I've signed an order directing and approval of many new nuclear reactors. We're going heavy into nuclear. I was not a big fan because I didn't like the risk, the danger, but they have the progress they've made with nuclear is unbelievable, and the safety progress they've made is incredible. We're very much into the world of nuclear energy, and we can have it now at good prices and very, very safe. And we're leading the world in AI by a lot. We're leading China by a lot. I think President Xi respects what we've done, in part because I've allowed these big companies building these massive buildings to build their own electric capacity. They're building their own power plants, which when added up is more than any country anywhere in the world is doing. I read recently an article in the Wall Street Journal that China's creating so much energy, and they are. I got to hand it to them. But we're creating as much or more, and we're letting them do that. I'm very proud of it. It was my idea. I said, you can't create this much energy. We needed more than double the energy currently in the country just to take care of the AI plants. And I said, we can't do that. We have an old grid system. And I came up with the idea, you know, you people are brilliant. You have a lot of money. Let's see what you can do. You can build your own electric generating plants. And they looked at me. They didn't believe me. All of the names that are, I think, in the room right now, if you want to know the truth, they didn't believe it. And I said, no, you can't. They came back 2 weeks and they didn't have the plant. They said, we thought you were kidding. I said, no, not only am I not kidding, you're going to have your approvals within 2 weeks. I always say nuclear will take 3 weeks. But most aren't going that. They're going oil and gas. They're even going coal in some cases. Because of my landslide election victory, the United States avoided the catastrophic energy collapse which befell every European nation that pursued the Green New Scam, perhaps the greatest hoax in history. The Green New Scam, windmills all over the place, destroy your land, destroy your land. Every time that goes around, you lose $1,000. You're supposed to make money with energy, not lose money. Here in Europe, we've seen the fate that the radical left tried to impose on America. They tried very hard. Germany now generates 22% less electricity than it did in 2017. And it's not the current chancellor's fault. He's solving the problem. He's going to do a great job. But what they did before he got there, I guess that's why he got there. And electricity prices are 64% higher. The United Kingdom produces just 1/3 of the total energy from all sources that it did in 1999. Think of that, 1/3. And they're sitting on top of the North Sea, one of the greatest reserves anywhere in the world, but they don't use it. And that's one reason why their energy has reached catastrophically low levels with equally high prices. High prices, very low levels. Think of that, 1/3. And you're sitting on top of the North Sea. And they like to say, well, you know, that's depleted. It's not depleted. It's got 500 years. They haven't even found the oil. The North Sea is incredible. They don't let anybody drill. Environmentally, they don't let them drill. They make it impossible for the oil companies to go. They take 92% of the revenues. So the oil companies say, we can't do it. They came to see me. Is there anything you can do? I want Europe to do great. I want UK to do great. They're sitting on one of the greatest energy sources in the world, and they don't use it. In fact, their electricity prices have soared 139%. There are windmills all over Europe. There are windmills all over the place, and they are losers. One thing I've noticed is that the more windmills a country has, the more money that country loses and the worse that country is doing. China makes almost all of the windmills, and yet I haven't been able to find any wind farms in China. Did you ever think of that? It's a good way of looking at it. They're smart. China's very smart. They make them, they sell them for a fortune.
He is the market.
They sell them to the stupid people that buy them.
He said, guys, you got to lower the price.
But they don't use them themselves. They put up a couple of
in about 10 minutes.
Big wind farms, but they don't use them. They just put them up to show people what they could look like. They don't spin. They don't do anything. They use a thing called coal, mostly. But China goes with the coal. They go with oil and gas. They're starting to look at nuclear a little bit. And they're doing just fine. They make a fortune selling the windmills, though, and I think really that's one that they wouldn't be surprised if it stopped. They are shocked that it continues to go. They're very friendly with me. They're shocked that people continue to buy those damn things. They killed the birds. They ruin your landscapes. Other than that, I think they're fabulous, by the way. Stupid people buy them. The consequences of such destructive policies have been stark, including lower economic growth, lower standards of living, lower birth rates, more socially disruptive migration, more vulnerability to hostile foreign adversaries, and much, much smaller militaries. The United States cares greatly about the people of Europe. We really do. I mean, look, I am derived from Europe. Scotland and Germany, 100% Scotland, my mother, 100% German, my father. And we believe deeply in the bonds we share with Europe as a civilization. I want to see it do great.
A little bit of a comedian.
That's why issues like energy, trade, immigration, and economic growth must be central concerns to anyone who wants to see a strong and united West.
I must add.
Because Europe and those countries have to do their thing. They have to get out of the culture that they've created over the last 10 years. It's horrible what they're doing to themselves. They're destroying themselves. It's beautiful, beautiful places. We want strong allies, not seriously weakened ones. We want Europe to be strong. Ultimately, these are matters of national security, and perhaps no current issue makes the situation more clear than what's currently going on with Greenland.
For those of you watching on X, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Would you like me to say a few words of Greenland?
LinkedIn also. Not the normal beginning of our show.
I was going to leave it out of the speech, but I thought
Mr. Trump is speaking
I think I would have been reviewed very negatively.
After yesterday's Mark Carney's.
I have tremendous respect for both the people of Greenland and the people of Denmark. Tremendous respect.
The U.S.'s time as the hegemon.
But every NATO ally has an obligation to be able to defend their own territory. And the fact is, no nation or group of nations is in any position to be able to secure Greenland other than the United States. We're a great power, much greater than people even understand. I think they found that out 2 weeks ago in Venezuela.
If you have anything you want to comment about them.
We saw this in World War II when Denmark fell to Germany after just 6 hours of fighting and was totally unable to defend either itself or Greenland. So the United States was then compelled. We did it. We felt an obligation to do it, to send our own forces to hold the Greenland territory, and hold it we did at great cost and expense. They didn't have a chance of getting on it, and they tried. Denmark knows.
For those of you watching on X, I'd really appreciate it.
We literally set up bases on Greenland for Denmark.
And opened up a new window.
We fought for Denmark. We weren't fighting for anyone else. We were fighting to save it.
Doing your work and doom scrolling, but
for Denmark,
have our
big,
show open.
Beautiful piece of ice. It's hard to call it land. It's a big piece of ice. But we saved Greenland and successfully prevented our enemies from gaining a foothold in our hemisphere. So we did it for ourselves also. And then after the war, which we won it big. Without us, right now you'd all be speaking German and a little Japanese, perhaps. After the war, we gave Greenland back to Denmark. How stupid were we to do that? But we did it. But we gave it back. But how ungrateful are they now?
This Greenland stuff.
So now our country,
it's a big distraction,
and the world face much greater risks than it did ever before because of
literally
missiles, because of nuclear, because of plenty of weapons of warfare that I can't even talk about.
You already have one military base. You've buried a nuclear
2 weeks ago, they saw weapons that nobody ever heard of. They weren't able to fire one shot at us. They said, what happened? Everything was discombobulated.
You can use as much land as you want.
They said, we've got them in our sights. Press the trigger, and nothing happened.
If Denmark wanted to annex,
literally, anti-aircraft missiles
we were
went
never
up.
asked to be part of
There was
Denmark.
one that went up about 30 feet and crashed down right next to the people that sent it. They said, what the hell is going on?
Pretty interesting.
But
the point is, we don't need to
those defensive systems were made by Russia and by China. So they're going to go back to the drawing boards, I guess. Greenland is a vast, almost entirely uninhabited and undeveloped territory that's sitting undefended in a key strategic location between the United States, Russia, and China. That's exactly where it is, right smack in the middle. Wasn't important nearly when we gave it back. When we gave it back, it wasn't the same as it is now. It's not important for any other reason, everyone talks about the minerals. There's so many places. There's no rare earth, no such thing as rare earth. There's rare processing, but there's so much rare earth. And to get to this rare earth, you got to go through
just not enough refining.
Hundreds of feet of ice. That's not the reason we need it. We need it for strategic national security and international security. This enormous unsecured island is actually part of North America. on the northern frontier of the Western Hemisphere. That's our territory. It is therefore a core national security interest of the United States of America. And in fact, it's been our policy for hundreds of years to prevent outside threats from entering
You're
our
right there, Doctor.
hemisphere. And we've done it very successfully. We've never been stronger than we are now.
And currently, Canada
That's
is
why
not
American
united.
presidents
Did you know
have
that part of
sought to
France
purchase
is
Greenland
also over in this Western
for
Hemisphere,
nearly
right
2
up in Canada?
centuries. You know, for 2
Little
centuries
island,
they've been
part of
trying to do it. They should have kept it after World
But
War
yes,
II.
all
They had
of
a
the
different
Americas,
president.
South
That's
America,
all right.
Central America,
People
and
think
North America
differently.
should act as one, as a
Much more necessary now
as a
than it
common
was at
market,
that time,
as
however.
a buffer
In
against China,
2019,
Russia,
Denmark
et cetera.
said that they would spend over $200 million to strengthen Greenland's defenses. But as you know, they spent less than 1% of that amount. 1%. There's no sign of Denmark there. And I say that with great respect for Denmark, whose people I love, whose leaders are very
I
good.
like Denmark. I've been to Copenhagen a couple of times.
It's the United States alone that can protect this giant
Everyone
mass
speaks
of
English there
land,
better
this
than,
giant
like,
piece
half
of
of
ice,
America.
develop it and
You can
improve
understand
it
them
and
clearly.
make
Their
it
dialect is
so that
clear.
it's good for Europe and safe for
And
Europe
the
and
English
good
to
for
speak
us.
English better than the English
And that's the
do.
reason I'm seeking
People up north of
immediate
London, you don't know what the hell they're
negotiations
saying.
to
You
once
went to
again
Yorkshire.
discuss the acquisition of Greenland
God
by
forbid
the
you go to
United
Liverpool.
States.
Don't know what
Just
the
as
fuck
we
they're
have
saying there.
acquired many other territories throughout our history, as many of the European nations have. They've acquired, there's nothing wrong with it. Many of them, some went in reverse, actually, if you look. Some had great, vast wealth, great, vast lands all
Anyway,
over the
it's a
world.
good reminder
They went
that
in
the United
reverse.
States
They're
acquired
stuck
Alaska,
back where they
simply just
started.
bought it from Russia.
That happens too.
We acquired
But
the
some
entire
grow.
middle part of our country. the
But this would
Louisiana
not
Purchase,
be a threat to
from France.
NATO. This
It
would
was literally part of
greatly
France. They
enhance
said,
the
"We'll give you $15
security
million
of
for
the
it."
entire
France is like, "We need
alliance,
the money
the
for
NATO
war. Come on,
alliance. The United
take it."
States is treated
None of
very
this is a
unfairly by
weird
NATO.
thing.
I want to tell
Talk
you
about
that.
buying someone else.
And when you think about it, nobody can dispute it. We give so much and we get so little in return. And I've been a critic of NATO for many years. And yet I've done more to help NATO than any other president by far, than any other person. You wouldn't have NATO if I didn't get involved in my first term. The war with Ukraine is an example. We are thousands of miles away, separated by a giant ocean. It's a war that should have never started, and it wouldn't have started if the 2020 U.S. presidential election weren't rigged. It was a rigged election. Everybody now knows that. They found out. People will soon be prosecuted for what they did. It's probably breaking news, but it should be. It's a rigged election. Can't have rigged elections. You need strong borders, strong elections, and ideally a good press. I always say it. Strong borders, strong elections, free, fair elections, and a fair media. The media is terrible. It's very crooked. It's very biased, terrible. But someday it'll straighten out because it's losing
poor
all
guy sitting over
credibility.
here
Think of it. When I went
in
in a
the chair
landslide,
here.
a giant landslide, won all 7 swing states, won the popular vote, won everything, and they only get negative press. That means that it has no credibility. And if they're going to get credibility, they're going to have to be fair. So you need a fair press. But you also need those other elements. And I inherited a terrible, terrible situation. If you look, the border was open. The inflation was raging. Everything was bad with the United States when I came into office. But I also inherited a mess with Ukraine and Russia, something that would have never happened. And I know Putin very well. He and I would discuss Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye, but he wasn't going to do anything. I said, Vladimir, you're not doing it. He would never have done it. It was terrible what happened. I could see it happening, too. After I left, I could see it happening. Biden had given Ukraine and NATO $350 billion, a staggering sum, $350 billion. I came in, and just like the southern border, just like inflation, just like our economy, I said, wow, this place is in trouble, meaning our country. All of these things were out of control. But the border was out of control. We fixed it with the strongest border anywhere in the world. And I've now been working on this war for 1 year, during which time I settled 8 other wars. India, Pakistan. I settled other wars that were Vladimir Putin called me, Armenia, Azerbaijan. He said, I can't believe you settled that one. They were going on for 35 years. I settled it in one day. And President Putin called me. He said, you know, I can't believe I worked on that war for 10 years trying to settle it. I couldn't do it. I said, do me a favor, focus on settling your war. Don't worry about that one. What does the United States get out of all of this work, all of this money, other than death, destruction, and massive amounts of cash going to people who don't appreciate what we do? They don't appreciate what we do. I'm talking about NATO, I'm talking about Europe. They have to work on Ukraine. We don't. The United States is very far away. We have a big, beautiful ocean separating us. We have nothing to do with it. Until I came along, NATO was only supposed to pay 2% of GDP.
Being in the crypto space,
but they weren't paying. Most of the countries weren't paying anything. The United States was paying for virtually 100% of NATO.
You gotta say some crazy shit, man. I mean,
and I got that stopped. I said, that's not fair.
Some of it you just got to let go.
But then more importantly, I got NATO to pay 5%, and now they were paying, and now they are paying. So something nobody said was possible. They said we will never go up higher than 2%.
Gold.
But they went to 5%, and now they're paying the 5. They didn't pay the 2, and now they're paying the 5. And they're stronger for it, and they have an excellent, by the way, Secretary General who's possibly in the room. Mark, are you here? Yes, he's here. Hello,
Looks
Mark.
like,
we never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement
anyway, it looks like
I made,
Trump
because people thought I would use force. But I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force.
Average on the 15-minute.
All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland,
not my model,
where we already had it as a trustee, but respectfully returned it back to Denmark not long ago after we defeated the Germans, the Japanese, the Italians, and others in World War II. We gave it back to them. We were a powerful force then, but we are a much more powerful force now. After I rebuilt the military in my first term and continue to do so today, we have a budget of $1.5 trillion. We're bringing back battleships. The battleship is 100 times more powerful than the great battleships you saw in World War II, those great, big, gorgeous ships, the Missouri, the Iowa, the Alabama.
He's going to have the Trump class of battleships.
Because I thought maybe we could take them out of mothballs. They said, no, sir, these ships are 100, think of that, 100 times more powerful than those big, magnificent pieces of art that you saw so many times ago, that you still see on television. You say, wow, what a force. 100 times, each ship 100 times more powerful than the big battleships of the past. So that was the end of the mothball story. So what we have gotten out of NATO is nothing except to protect Europe from the Soviet Union and now Russia. I mean, we've helped them for so many years. We've never gotten anything, except we pay for NATO. And we paid for many years until I came along. We paid for, in my opinion, 100% of NATO because they weren't paying their bills. And all we're asking for is to get
Bitcoin dumping,
Greenland,
gold pumping,
including right title and ownership, because you need the ownership to defend it.
Like today.
You can't defend it on a lease.
5,000.
Number one, legally it's not defensible that way, totally.
Yeah, we're going to hit.
And number two, psychologically, who the hell wants to defend
I wouldn't be surprised if that's
a license agreement or a lease, which is a large piece of ice in the middle of the ocean where if there is a war, much of the action will take place on that piece of ice. Think of it. Those missiles would be flying right over the center of that piece of ice. All we want from Denmark,
today starts the 4th week in January,
for national and international security, and to keep our very energetic and dangerous potential enemies at bay, is this land on which we're going to build the greatest golden dome ever built. We're building a golden dome that's going to, just by its very nature,
I've been just feeding the
going to be defending
ladies and gentlemen,
Canada.
Pedro's joining me behind the scenes.
Canada gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not. I watched your Prime Minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful. But they should be grateful to us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements. What we did for Israel was amazing, but that's nothing compared to what we have planned for the United States, Canada, and the rest of the world. We are going to build a dome like no other. We did it for Israel. And by the way, I told Bibi, stop taking credit for the dome. That's our technology. That's our stuff. But they had a lot of courage, and they were good fighters, and they did a good job, and we wiped out the Iran nuclear threat like nobody can believe. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. That, Venezuela, taking down Soleimani, wiping out al-Baghdadi when he tried to reinstitute ISIS. We did a lot. I did a lot of big things, all perfectly executed. Everyone was perfectly executed. Somebody told me that, a military expert told me, sir, everything you've done has been perfectly executed. I said, I know. So other presidents have spent, whether foolishly or not, trillions and trillions of dollars on NATO and gotten absolutely nothing in return. We've never asked for anything. It's always a one-way street. Now they want us to help them with Ukraine. And we say, we're going to. I'm really helping, not even them. I want to see, last week, if you saw, it was 10,000 soldiers, but last month it was 31,000 soldiers died. 31,000. That's this room times, the number of people in this room times 30. Think of it. 30,000 soldiers died in 1 month. The month before it was 27,000. The month before that it was 28,000. The month before that it was 25,000. It's a bloodbath over there. And that's what I want to stop. It doesn't help the United States, but these are souls. These are young people. Look like you, look like some of you right in the front row. They go to war. Their parents are so proud. Oh, there he goes, comes back.
They're
2 weeks later, they're going to call your son's head's been blown off. I want to stop it. It's a horrible war. It's the worst since World War II.
Now that Ukraine is regularly attacking.
They keep going. They'll exceed World War II. The numbers are staggering. How many people they've lost? They don't want to talk about it. Ukraine and Russia lost just tremendous amounts.
The youth of Ukraine,
and I'm dealing with President Putin, and he wants to make a deal, I believe. I'm dealing with President Zelensky, and I think he wants to make a deal. I'm meeting him today. He might be in the audience right now. But they got to get that war stopped because too many people are dying, needlessly dying. Too many souls are being lost. It's the only reason I'm interested in doing it. But in doing it, I'm helping Europe, I'm helping NATO, and I've until the last few days when I told them about Iceland, they loved me.
Loved him.
They called me daddy, right, last time. Very smart man said, he's our daddy. He's running it. I was like running it. I went from running it to being a terrible human being. But now what I'm asking for is a piece of ice, cold and poorly located, that can play a vital role in world peace and world protection.
Is he asking for just a piece of ice, or are you asking for the whole entire thing?
Compared to what we have given them for many, many decades. But the problem with NATO is that we'll be there for them 100%. But I'm not sure that they'd be there for us if we gave them the call. Gentlemen, we are being attacked. We're under attack by such and such a nation. I know them all very well. I'm not sure that they'd be there. I know we'd be there for them. I don't know that they'd be there for us. So with all of the money we expend, with all of the
Navy, they can protect
blood, sweat, and tears,
France,
I don't know that they'd be there for us. They're not there for us.
Somewhat of an expeditionary force.
Iceland, that I can tell you.
They can protect
our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland.
Not so much anymore.
So Iceland's already cost us a lot of money. But that dip is peanuts compared to what it's gone up. And we have an unbelievable future in that stock. That stock market is going to be doubled. We're going to hit 50,000, and that stock market's going to double. in a relatively short period of time because of everything that's happening.
I did enjoy that
but this
trade.
is a good example.
Of the
After
market going
giving
up today.
NATO and European nations trillions and trillions of dollars in defense, they buy our weapons. We make the greatest weapons in the world, but now we're going to make them faster, much faster. You saw that. I put a cap on the salaries. Then I put no buybacks, no stock buybacks, no various other things that they were doing. I mean, they were making $50 million, but it would take them 3 years to give you a Patriot missile. I said, that's not good. My chauffeur can do a better job than that, and he makes slightly less than 50. They make big salaries. If they're going to make those big salaries, they're going to have to produce a lot faster. The good news is we have the greatest equipment in the world. Now we're going to start making it a lot faster. They're going to build additional plants. And all of the money that goes into stock buybacks is going to go into building plants. We're not allowing stock buybacks by defense companies any longer. They're going to build new plants to make Tomahawks, Patriots. We have the best equipment, F-35s. F-47, the new one just coming out. They say it's the most devastating plane, fighter jet ever. Who knows? They called it 47. If I don't like it, I'm going to take the 47 off it. I wonder why they called it 47. We'll have to think about that. But if I don't like it, I'm going to take that 47 off.
He's starting to ramble.
But it's supposed to be the stage 6. It's supposed to be the first stage 6 plane, undetectable, like our B-2 bombers were undetectable. They flew right over Iran. They were undetectable. And they did their job, and they got the hell out of there. So we want a piece of ice for world protection, and they won't give it. We've never asked for anything else, and we could have kept that piece of land, and we didn't. So they have a choice. You can say yes, and we will be very appreciative, or you can say no, and we will remember. A strong and secure America means a strong NATO. And that's one reason why I'm working every day to ensure our military is very powerful. Our borders are very strong. And above all, our economy is strong because national security requires economic security and economic prosperity. And we have the greatest that we've ever had. Biden and his allies destroyed our economy and gave us perhaps the worst inflation in American history. They say 48 years, I say forever, but I think 48 years is the equivalent to forever. Whether it's 48 years or ever, it's terrible, costing the typical family $33,000. What they did to this country should never, ever be forgotten. It's early. But he has to be rated as the worst president we've ever had by far. The auto pen did much of the damage.
He just can't.
The auto pen. He was the auto pen president.
All right, Trump.
Because I don't believe a sane president would have ever signed the kind of things that he signed. But now grocery prices, energy prices, airfares, mortgage rates, rent, and car payments are all coming down, and they're coming down fast. We inherited a mess, but we've done a hell of a job in 12 months. Under my most favored nation policy for drug prices, the cost of prescription drugs is coming down by up to 90%, depending on the way you calculate. You could also say 5, 6, 7, 800%. There are two ways of figuring that. But we have a favored nations policy that every president wanted, no president was able to get. I got it, and other nations approved it. And I had to use tariffs in order to get it.
That is phenomenal.
Because they said, no way.
What he got.
In other words, a
the
bill
administration got
that cost 10% in London cost $130. Think it cost $10 in London.
What?
Cost $130.
The medical
in New York,
prescription
or in Los Angeles.
drugs. Corporate
and
entities,
I say, boy, that's bad.
the
Friends of
farm,
mine
big
would say,
pharma to drop,
we go to
drop
London,
rates,
you can buy
man.
this
I mean,
stuff for nothing. We go all over the world,
that's
we
a
can buy it
big
for
deal.
nothing.
What I expected, though,
Because
Pedro, is I
basically America
expected
was
that
subsidizing every nation in the
that
world.
the prices in
Because
Canada
presidents allowed them to get away
would
with
have
it.
to be
It
the
became
same
very
or
tough.
higher
So
than
when
in
I
the
called
U.S.
up
And it's not. They're still way cheaper in
Emmanuel
Canada.
Macron, I
They're
watched
getting
him
around
yesterday
this
with
whole
those beautiful
those favored
sunglasses.
nation thing somehow.
What the hell happened?
Because people in Canada pay for their prescriptions. It's not part of their health care. And so
But
the prices
watched him sort of
are very public.
be tough.
And I'm like, these prices aren't
But
they should be going up
at
because the U.S.
$10 for a
subsidizes
pill.
all of these things with our high
And I
prices.
said, Emmanuel,
And if the U.S. prices come down, Canada, the UK, New Zealand, all the other national healthcare economies that get our drugs cheap, the prices should be going up, and they're not. And I don't know why. Should be.
They gave it up.
This policy,
but they said you'll never get the countries to approve it. I said, well, why is that?
So you're saying they're just
Because
going to hold on to it for a time period, and then
anymore.
once Trump
Get
leaves,
the
they'll
rest
raise it, type of thing?
So over the years, they stayed the same. We just went up,
I don't.
up.
I guess his policy
And
isn't
we
working.
pay
Maybe it doesn't
13,
have the
14,
force of law or
15 times
something.
more than
But the
certain
prices in
countries
Canada
would, so.
for drugs should now be
I said,
higher
no,
than
they'll
the
approve
U.S.
it 100%.
The U.S. should come down,
Them
Canada
to
should
approve
come
it. I
up.
said, I guarantee you. But I
The
actually
U.S. is
started
still
with
essentially
Emmanuel,
high,
who
and
probably
Canada's
is in the
still
room
low.
too. And I like him. I actually like him. Hard to believe, isn't it?
So you're saying, is Trump
And I
lying
said,
about a bunch of
Emmanuel,
this?
You're going to have to lift the price
I
of that
think
bill
I don't know. I don't know what the
to
answer
$20,
is. I mean,
maybe
I don't know.
$30.
Maybe
Think
it's
of that.
just maybe he only actually has
that means
control
it's a
over what
doubling.
Medicare buys. I don't know.
a doubling of prescription drugs. Might be a tripling.
All I know is
might be
that
a quadrupling.
if the drug
It's not
prices were
easy.
to double or triple,
No,
which
no,
they should in
Donald, I will
Canada,
not
people would
do
be
that.
freaking out
I said,
because
yes,
it's not
you
covered
will,
by insurance here.
100%.
And so,
He said, no, no, no.
but then there's no freaking out happening.
You're asking me
Everything's
to
the same.
double. I said, Emmanuel, you've been taking
it's too
advantage
soon.
of the United States for 30 years with prescription drugs.
Oh, here we
You
go.
really should do it, and you will do it. I have no doubt. In fact, I am 100% sure you're going to. No, 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 I will not do it. Because, yes, in all fairness, he has to double or triple. Because the world being a bigger place than the United States, it's not that you meet in the middle. You just have to go up some, and we come down a lot. They go up a little, we come down a lot.
See?
So we're at $130. They're at 10. So they may have to go to 20 or 30. No more than that. I said, Emmanuel, you're going to be doubling or tripling? No, no, no. I said, here's the story, Emmanuel. The answer is you're going to do it. You're going to do it fast. And if you don't, I'm putting a 25% tariff on everything that you sell into the United States and a 100% tariff on your wines and
What is their
champagne.
stock doing right now?
And that's about 10 times more than what I'm requesting. And you're going to do it. I don't want to go public with it, but you may make me do that. No, no, Donald, I will do it.
Pfizer?
I will do it. It took me, on average,
PZ,
3 minutes a country. Saying the same thing. You will do it. They all said, no, 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 I will not do it. You're asking me to double the cost of prescription. I said, that's right, because you've been screwing us for 30 years. And they said, we will not do it. I said, that's all right.
The red tie.
On Monday morning, we're putting a 25, 30, 50. I gave different numbers for different countries. This is also national security we're talking about. Not fair. We're not going to subsidize the whole world. And every one of those countries have agreed to do it. So one of the biggest things that I've done is the fact that we have now most favored nation. We will pay whatever the lowest price is in the entire world. So our drug prices are going to be coming down by staggering 90%. Again, you could say 1,000%, 2,000%. Depends on the way you want to figure it, but we'll go with the way the fake news likes it better because it sounds, can you imagine a 90% reduction sounds much worse. But drug prices are going to be coming down tremendously in all the nations, and I appreciate them doing it, but they did it. In all fairness, without tariffs, I wouldn't have been able to get it done. After declining $3,000 under Biden, real incomes are up in the United States by $2,000, $3,000, and even $5,000 and more. Home ownership has always been a symbol of health and vigor of American society, but that goal fell out of reach for millions and millions of people in the Biden era because interest rates went up so high. Today, I'm taking action to bring back this bedrock of the American dream. In recent years, Wall Street giants and institutional investment firms, many of you are here, many of you are good friends of mine, many of you are supporters. Sorry to do this to you, I'm so sorry. But you've driven up housing prices by purchasing hundreds of thousands of single-family homes, and it's been a great investment for them. Often as much as 10% of houses on the market. You know, the crazy thing is a person can't get depreciation on a house, but when a corporation buys it, they get depreciation. Okay, that's something we're going to have to think about, too. I don't know if too many people think about it.
It will be a bull
You buy a
run for the
corporation, they buy
The US
500
market's gonna go
houses.
crazy.
They buy hundreds of thousands. They buy
beginning of the
500
year
houses.
here
They can
that
take depreciation.
2026 will
A
be the
person
rise
sweats
of
and
America,
works and
not
buys
as
one house they
the
can't.
hegemon of the world.
But homes are
hegemon
built
of
for
everything.
people, not for corporations, and America will not become a nation of renters. We're not going to do that. That's why I have signed an executive order banning large institutional investors from buying single-family homes. It's just not fair to the public. They're not able to buy a house. And I'm calling on Congress to pass that ban into permanent law, and I think they will. One of the biggest barriers to saving for a down payment has been surging credit card debt. The profit margin for credit card companies now exceeds 50%, one of the biggest. And they charge Americans interest rates of 28%, 30%, 31%, 32%. Whatever happened to usury? So to help our
This is one of the news stories for today.
Recover from the Biden disaster, all
Jamie
caused by
Jamie Dimon,
just horrible precedent.
said
I'm asking
the
Congress
unspoken words of the
to cap
banking world,
credit
and
card
that
interest
is
rates
we need people
at
to be
10% for 1
destitute,
year.
so they're reliant on the banks. And
this will help
said it
millions
indirectly, but he said it.
of Americans
and it's
save
related
for a
to
home.
this
They have no
credit
idea
card
they're paying
interest.
28%. They go out there a little late in their payment and they end up losing their house. It's terrible. To unleash innovation in savings and financing, I'm also working to ensure America remains the crypto capital of the world. And to that end, last year I signed the landmark Genius Act into law. Now Congress is working very hard on crypto market structure legislation, Bitcoin, all of them, which I hope to sign very soon, unlocking new pathways for Americans to reach financial freedom. And I did it for two reasons. Number one, I thought it was politically good, and it was. I got tremendous political support. But more importantly, China wanted that market too. It's just like they want the AI. And we've got that market, I think, pretty well locked up. If I didn't do it, Biden was totally against it until before the election when they realized that, there were millions of people voting against him over crypto. And all of a sudden, they loved it very much, but it was too late. They blew it. But it is politically popular, but it's much more importantly, we have to make it so that China doesn't get the hold of it. And once they have that hold, we're not going to be able to get it back. So I'm honored to have done it. Finally, I've instructed government-backed institutions to purchase up to $200 billion in mortgage bonds to bring down interest rates. And I'll be announcing a new Fed chairman in the not-too-distant future. I think he'll do a very good job. So he gave away some of it. He did give that away. So we have something, got something, but somebody that's very respected. They're all respected. They're all great. Everyone that I interviewed is great. Everyone could do, I think, a fantastic job. Problem is they change once they get the job. They do. They're saying everything I want to hear, and then they get the job. They're locked in for 6 years. They get the job, and all of a sudden, let's raise rates a little bit. I call them, sir, we'd rather not talk about this. It's amazing how people change once they have the job, but it's too bad. Sort of disloyalty, but they got to do what they think is right. We have a terrible chairman right now. Jerome, too late Powell. He's always too late. And he's very late with interest rates, except before the election, he was just fine for the other side.
Cryptology, it's
so
we're
going to have somebody that's great,
comes out and says,
and we hope he does the right job. Last week, the average 30-year mortgage rate dropped below 6% for the first time in many years. Another major factor in driving up housing costs was the mass invasion of our borders. And I have to say one thing about housing, because nobody ever says this. I am very protective of people that already own a house, of which we have millions and millions and millions. And because we have had such a good run, the house values have gone up tremendously. And these people have become wealthy. They weren't wealthy. They become wealthy because of their house. And every time you make it more and more and more affordable for somebody to buy a house cheaply, you're actually hurting the value of those houses, obviously, because the one thing works in tandem with the other. And I don't want to do anything that's going to hurt the value of people that own a house who, for the first time in their lives, are walking around the streets of whatever city they're in, very proud
Pedro,
that their house is worth $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. Now, if I want to really crush the housing market, I could do that so fast that people could buy houses, but you would destroy a lot of people that already have houses. In some cases, they've mortgaged their house, and the mortgage would be very low, and all of a sudden the mortgage without any changes becomes very high, and they end up losing the house. I'm not going to hurt, and I speak with Scott, who's doing a fantastic job, and Howard, who's doing a fantastic job, and all of my people. And I always say, look, you know, I can crush the hell out of the market. We can drop interest rates to a level, and that's one thing we do want to do. That's natural. That's good for everybody. You know, the dropping of the interest rates, we should be paying a much lower interest rate than we are. We should be paying the lowest interest rate of any country in the world, because without the United States, you don't have a country. I mean, I had a case with Switzerland. We happened to be in Switzerland. Maybe I'll give you a quick story. But they were paying nothing. They make beautiful watches, great watches, Rolex, all of them. They were paying nothing to the United States when they sent their product in. And we had a $41 billion deficit. $41 billion with this beautiful place. Flew over it, isn't it nice? So I said, let's put a 30% tariff on them so that we get back some of it, not all of it at all. We'd still have a deficit, big deficit. We had 41 million. That's a big deficit. And I said, let's put a tariff on. Different tariffs, different places. You're all party to them. In some cases, victims to them. But in the end, it's a fair thing. And most of you realize that. But we put a 30% tariff on Switzerland, and all hell broke loose. They were calling, I mean, like you wouldn't believe. And I know so many people from Switzerland, incredible place, incredible, brilliant place. But I didn't realize that they're only good because of us. And there's so many other examples. I mean, us, probably other places, but a majority of the money they make is because of us, because we never charged them anything. So they come in, they sell their watches, no tariffs, no nothing. They walk
All right, Pedro, I'll keep monitoring this in my ear, but I think it's time to actually get into what's going on with the markets and how they've reacted to the president's speech, all that type of stuff. And so we can hit Bitcoin, gold, silver, and see what's rocking and what's not.
I don't think president, I think prime minister.
Most def. Okay, so it's really interesting what's actually happening with BTC. We're actually seeing a bit of a sell-off from his actual speech. Saw the sell-off kind of come in at the open here around, not the open, but around, was it 10:30 Pacific Standard Time? No, it's New York. I'm sorry. Why am I saying Pacific? New York time around 10 o'clock. Saw the sell-off kind of come in, and now starting to kind of bottom out here at these lower levels. Coming back down to the lows here, what we talked about at that 85,000 area here, coming down to hit this liquidity we've been talking about. And again, like I said, we have also a potential sell-off if we get through here. It's going to be that 75,000 to 74,000 also that I'm looking for if we do come down to there. This is kind of the line in the sand here. I don't think we're going to get through this. I think there's going to be a lot of people that's going to come in and buy up at that 75,000 area. But again, we're putting in that demand wick for the year that we were talking about. So we come down to there, it's going to put that in. We're putting that in, like I said, the first part of January into February. And then come mid-February, we want to see a nice little rebound where we start to see it kind of go up for the first quarter, where it puts in the first part of the quarter, the demand wick, and then the next part will put in, start the body of the year, where we then could see it potentially push up, I think, to all-time highs of the 120 after February. And then from there, I think we could see it really get going. Fingers crossed, but that's kind of like what I'm thinking. That is a little bit of my hopium, but it is playing out partly just from a technical standpoint, what I'm looking at here. So Like I said, we hit that 96,000 area to come down into the supply wick of the previous year to come down into and create the demand wick for the year as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays. The banksters are definitely playing with people's emotions. So that's why I'm definitely looking at this as a way of watching it come down to these lower levels. Now, if we get down past 76, again, this is more of a longer period. It'd be that 67,000 area to that 65,000. But yeah, like I said, I don't think we're going to get down there. I think we're just going to come in.
Well, we'll have to see. As you always say, is that the demand wicks will show whether we are going to hold at that level or likely hold at that level.
Yeah,
or dump further. If it comes down to 74,000 and there's seller wicks, we're fucked.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Actually, good point. So like I said, we'll wait and see what happens there. But as of right now, it's doing what I expected that it was going to do, is kind of come down to that 85,000, potentially that 75,000. So as Tom says, we'll wait and see, which is good. That's typically what I say. So that is wisdom speaking right there.
Yeah.
Next.
Volume on Bitcoin has been right in the average here of about $64 billion traded. That's about normal for when we give our show. That's the past 24 hours in a rolling 24-hour period. Sometimes on busy days we see 100 billion. Occasionally seen 200 billion. And then on days of low liquidity we see it down near 20 and 30 billion. So the liquidity in the market is good today. It's strong. It's reacting to President Trump's speech, which means that there's lots of day traders out there with big bags, because institutional investors don't care about this speech. They're just wanting to buy lower and ride it up higher. The huge market makers, aren't really interested in this speech because they're looking for big moves in the market over longer periods of time. But Bitcoin is very liquid for a reason, because it's traded heavily every day. And that means it's going to react to the news. But if like everything else, you zoom out one more layer on the chart, Pedro's got the 5-minute up. If you look at the 15-minute and the hour chart, it's like, meh. It's like, meh, whatever. Right? See that the whole speech here is just in this one little up and down here. And as you can see, there's plenty of up and downs just as big there. And the world goes on.
But people will sit there and say, because Trump spoke, we saw the market drop from Bitcoin, a big sell-off from 90,000.
Right, they'll blame them like liquidations because of Trump's speech. Grandma lost her money. That's what they'll say in Canada.
Really, you think so? They'll spin it that way?
Well, I say that because they used it before. 4 years ago, when Bitcoin is at 60,000 and then went to 20,000, they're like, see, you caused grandma to go broke. All the pensioners are now broke because they took your advice. And like, no pensioner, there were zero pensioners that bought any cryptocurrency.
I was going to say, you guys definitely, I mean, Canada definitely didn't.
No, they were just using that. See, they were one party was trying to blame the other party. And then when the price came back up, the other party is like, how about that, motherfuckers?
How about them apples? Epic. Here you go.
Pedro, my Instagram feed is full of libtards fawning over Mark Carney's speech. I have to admit, it was a good speech. I mean, if you're a fan of delivery of words, he gave a great speech. Like Obama did. Obama gave great speeches. He could say just about anything. He could talk about selling you your old shoe leather, and you'd be like, wow, what an inspirational speech. But the content of it doesn't match his actions. Prime Minister Carney is talking about how the world needs a new world order without the United States, and they're going to help lead it with all the other middle countries of the world. Instantly trying to position himself as the leader of the middle of the world. That's like, yay. And he left off the entire concept that he's essentially run the economic policy for Canada for the past 6 years.
Do you have his speech going in the background?
No, I'm listening to Trump in the background.
It just went really loud.
You shouldn't be hearing it.
Let me check to see if it's.
No, it's not.
Ask
It's not
the
on the
community. Hey guys, can you hear it?
No, I just have it into my my studio monitor. God, I forget what I was talking about.
Okay, good.
Oh yeah, this is striking. Piped up from the back. Socialists. The Mr. Carney was the previous government's chief economic advisor, and is the one that got their took their pension fund from being a just an index-based, passively managed fund to an actively managed with extremely high costs and no additional returns. And he also devised this whole don't sell the oil and all that type of stuff to everybody else plan. See how that worked out for Canada. Didn't work out at all. And he came up with the idea of how to spend huge on social programs too, which also it ran up the budget dramatically. He's running up the budget dramatically well. And as a result, as a percentage of GDP, Canada now has the same debt as the U.S., if you can believe that.
Wait, per ratio, right? Like per ratio, not the same debt. They don't have 37 trillion or 38 trillion.
I said as a ratio of GDP.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. Wow. Really? Yeah. That quick?
Yeah, they have 3 point something trillion in national debt, and it's a disaster. And then he gets up in front of the World Economic Forum and says all this great stuff. It's just like Obama. Obama, man, he'd give a speech. You like, oh my God, I love this. You should. Everybody posted back then. What truly inspirational. You need to listen to this. People went crazy to go listen to Obama speak. And then his policies and actions were disastrous. It just didn't. In fact, the rest of the world turned their backs on Obama. And Mr. Carney's following the same thing. And obviously, as people are not going to be listening to me, even though like his building is right there where he works. They should ensure that his words match his actions. Like Mr. Trump's, he says a lot of crazy things over here, Mr. Trump, but his words match his actions. He says we're going to do this, and we do it. Like every one of his campaign promises, he's addressed. He even said he was going to solve the Russia-Ukraine war, and he hasn't yet. And he came out and said, "I've been trying, and I have. This is much harder than I thought it would be." And he addresses every one of his campaign promises, every policy he talks about, he's working on. He's not all bluster and air. Like I said, plenty of crazy things, right? The delivery of a lot of these policies, bad.
You can learn a couple.
But he gets it done.
Yeah,
he gets it done.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Dude, I'm kind of running my PC pretty hard. Because I'm just trying to make sure that.
Do you want me to send the Trump speech into your earpiece?
No. I'm just running everything. I finally got the new internet fully.
Oh, you
set
did?
Up. Oh yeah. And normally by now I would be having issues.
Right.
And I'm not. So it's like awesome.
Let's see your frame rate. You're coming to me at 60 frames a second, which before it would dump down to 30.
It's doing great.
You've got a Quadra P2000 running. That's starting to see some age on it, your GPU. That's weird that I can see that on my computer.
Why would you say that? But either way, it doesn't matter. I mean, but I'm running like 15 things in the background right now, and this thing is still like my internet is not even having any issue, and we're not having issues. This is a great company. Like the whole like they're the new guy in the area.
Is it just fiber, or is it's not through the cable companies or anything? It's Pedro.
I freaking spoke too quick.
So it's not your internet connection. Did you get a new router?
It's my
too?
PC. I gotta get a new PC.
Did you get a new router?
Freaking
Pedro, the
no, I got new
foibles of
router, new
Pedro's
everything.
internet connection are. Strange. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Pedro and I have been going back and forth about his internet connection because he uses two different ones. He uses one for his screen feed from his computer, and then he has a separate. He uses his phone for this. And so when the main internet connection fails, his phone drops onto the data, so we can still see and hear him, but we don't get his screen. So we've been blaming it on the internet provider, and now he replaces the internet provider. It's still happening. It's time for us to get a technology sponsor. If you're a company out there that wants to sponsor DYOR Live from a technology point of view, I'm thinking of you, CDW or Canada Electronics, let me know. Let me know.
Can you see me though? Yeah, you can see me.
Yeah, you're on.
So, but why does the internet go down? Is it my PC that blunts the internet?
I'm guessing your card in your computer, your NIC card, your network interface card, is just having a spaz.
So I need to get a new internet card.
Well, you might. I mean, you have one built into your motherboard. It's probably, and you can always buy a new one. You can buy an adapter. It's a USB adapter. I mean, I use one all the time. Amazingly, I don't have it in front of me. All right, that was enough Trump's full speech there.
Yeah. It is running good, Nokia.
Anyway, one of the things that let's see, what did I want to talk about? Yeah, this was a good thing. I complain. I've covered Davos for a number of clients in this business, hosting talks from Davos. Not me being there, but the clients were there, podcasts and that type of stuff. And admittingly, while the policies that have come out of the World Economic Forum, from my personal opinion, are a disaster. They're socialist oriented. They're mass migration oriented. They're woke ideology. They're green climate at all costs ideology. All of those have been a tremendous failure for the economy. None of those have done what they thought they would do. They said, they said the green economy will boost productivity and all this type of stuff. They just made that up. They just cold made that up. There was no study, anything like that. They said mass migration will help everyone. And they just made that up too. There was no proof of that at all. When it turns out in the end, they just thought it was a good idea to altruistically help people by taking them out of their own culture and throwing them into someone else's culture, and stripping poor countries of its labor force, and it's educated. Always a good plan to go to Zimbabwe and stuff like that and say, hey, give us all your poor people and give us all of your smart people too that are educated, and the rest of you can just kind of figure out what to do with your country. And so the World Economic Forum invited the Iranian foreign minister during the slaughter of Iranian citizens. I mean, come on, man. You gotta draw a line in the sand somewhere with your lunacy, and that is one of them. That's one. You know what? Let's get some music going here. There we go. And so, my political view on the World Economic Forum itself is a disaster. The one good thing that happens is the world's business community leaders get together, and there's a lot of events around the Economic Forum. There's all sorts of trade shows and conventions and meetups and get-togethers and things like that. The crypto industry, big shots get together and have their own thing going on there. It's a big deal. And so when people say, "Oh, we're over in Davos for whatever," most people don't go to the Economic Forum because that you have to pay big money for a ticket. Like VIP tickets are $250,000, and regular tickets are ridiculously expensive too. And there's a long waiting period for them. So most people that go there go for the events around it, which are not based on a lot of them are based on the World Economic Forum's policy, but a lot of them are just there because when the world's leaders and the world's leaders of governments and world's leaders of businessmen get together, the networking is incredible. And so people go for that. So always keep that in your mind. If someone says, "Oh, I was in Davos for the World Economic Forum," they may not be one of these retards that sets these crazy policies. They just may be there on business as part of the other things that go on around it that are not officially affiliated with it. They're just there because that's where all the private jets are for the week. Anyway, and everybody, broadcasting on a number of different platforms today, including LinkedIn and Kick. Kick has been our core comment machine today with Core Cryptology, Dr. Mitt commenting today. Thank you to you guys for watching over on Kick. Really appreciate it. And of course, everyone on our home channel of Rumble here. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate you guys. We're participating in a little different show today because Mr. Trump was speaking and beating up, as he calls him, Mark. Trump challenges Carney at Davos, asserts Canada should be grateful for Golden Dome missile defense. What are the other things here? I found this interesting here on CNN. Pedro, I'm taking your camera off. Just let me know when you're back. Here's the CNN search for Canada. Canadian PM Carney wants rules-based orders fading and middle powers need to stick together. And this entire speech was about the decline of international rules because Mr. Trump is just doing what he wants. Frankly, Mr. Trump is doing what he needed to do. But he was criticizing the U.S. administration's foreign policy, the use of trade tariffs, all that type of stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then it says, the next article, how Canada's positioning itself on Greenland, knowing that it could be next. And this is the very next story. Canada's leader patches things up with China. It says, yes, Canada wants to be aligned with China, not the United States. Now think about that. Think about that. First of all, China is 5,000 miles across a giant body of water. The two countries have nothing in common except a lot of Chinese expatriates that got booted out of China and had to go somewhere. And that's about it. There's nothing else in common. There's the culture is completely different. Business climate's completely different. The style of government's completely different. Everything's completely different. With the United States, everything's essentially the same. McDonald's, Chevy, Ford, Home Depot, everything. The only thing that's different about Canada and the U.S. Is that in Quebec they speak some flavor of French the rest of the world doesn't understand, and in the U.S. we speak some flavor of Spanish the rest of the world doesn't understand. Yet everything else is the same. Our roads are the same. We have common traffic laws. Our driver's licenses and passports are all made in the same places, and high security things. We run the Nexus and global entry programs together. We run shipping and logistic, the FAST program together. Our highways join and go from one place to another. To be a serious person, and my friends on Instagram that are cooing over Mr. Carney, he's not a serious person when he panders to you like that. And if any of you out there are thinking, my God, I really want to be closer to China, just remember, China's vacuuming up the whole internet, and everyone, if you ever want to go there, they're going to review all of your social media. They're going to review everything you've ever said. Now that everything that you basically say online, comment, like, and all that is in big data, and they're going to judge you for that, and they're going to make you part of their social credit score system. Pedro, I see you're still having trouble over there. Hopefully,
Yeah, I'm rebooting the PC right now. It's actually taking quite a bit.
That's all right. Yeah. Just come on back when you get a chance. Anyway, so Pedro will be back in a minute. But this is, I mean, Mr. Carney's done a fantastic job of getting himself into a position of being a global elitist. And in fact, the where is it? They just come out and ask him here if he is a global elitist.
Okay, final question. President Trump and a lot of people who agree with him condemn globalism a lot. And I suspect, you would be the kind of epitome of a globalist. You worked for Goldman Sachs, I believe. You were a central banker. You're comfortable and lived in several countries. Is globalism, first of all, is it a thing, and is it over?
That's his tell. He touched his nose. It means he's about to lie. Watch.
Understanding how the world works, having an appreciation for other cultures, understanding the connections, and being able to, or at least appreciating ways that how we connect, whether it's through technology, trade, investment, culture, can enrich our lives, and that's a good thing, and also help solve problems. Being detached from where you live and the broader needs of society, there is an epithet for that. I don't know that the G word is the one. There's certainly what we're finding, to go back to the points I was making, is that there are a number of like-minded countries that want to work through partnership to achieve those goals for their citizens and for the world more broadly. The call is for more to recognize what's really going on right now, and to pool their resources to the benefit of citizens. So it won't be global, it won't cover the globe, but it will be more powerful.
Okay, Prime Minister, thank you. Okay, final question.
It's hard to really dissect all of that, but in essence, Mr. Carney is a globalist and in favor of globalist policies. It's clear. I mean, he got invited to the keynote speech for one of the nights at the head of the globalist world, and that's the World Economic Forum. And he's done a good job being in the seat of power. I mean, he was the governor of the Bank of Canada. He was the governor of the Bank of England. He's worked his way up to becoming the Prime Minister of Canada without ever running for any political office at all. He ran Bloomberg Media for a while. He ran Brookfield Management for a while, and he'll go right back to Brookfield when he's done being the Prime Minister of Canada. And he's making a fortune there. There's really no other person that's a globalist in his league. I mean, he got himself to be a prime minister of a country too, not just like at the head of the business community, at the head of a country too. Which, I got to tell you, is fine if he does things right. If he makes his country better. Someone that actually wanted to make his country better would have flown right out to Alberta, saw Premier Daniel Smith and said, all right, we're going to start building these pipelines. Let's get the oil out of the ground. Let's get it to market. Let's bring in income for this country. Let's fix all of our social program, or all our social issues. The money coming in will help healthcare in all the provinces. The money coming in will help B, C, D, and E. Let's get the liquefied natural gas plants running, built and running, and selling to Germany and Japan and Greece and all the countries that wanted it. Let's get the infrastructure built across Canada to deliver this stuff. Right now, if you want to send oil or gas or anything in a pipeline from Alberta to Quebec, I'll point to Quebec, it's right there. Do you know where it goes? It goes through the U.S. Pipeline goes through the U.S. And then they say, oh, we want one to go through Canada. The Canadians are like, oh, no, we can't have that. Or the Quebecers, oh, no, we can't have that. That could be a problem. They could leak. When you look at the pipelines of the world, there's hundreds of thousands of miles of pipelines in North America. And the Canadians won't let just a 5,000 kilometer pipeline be built for oil or gas. So they run it through the U.S. And Montana right now and Idaho are saying to Alberta, we'd love to just bring the pipeline. We'll go right over to the coast over here. It would just give us a small vig. And Alberta's gonna have to consider that soon because they can't train all this stuff out. Pedro, my friend, how's it going?
It is. It looks like it's. I just realized it was my. For whatever reason, the new build or the new internet messed with the security protocol for my PC, and it looks like it just shut it down.
Now you're back.
Really weird. It literally was like, cannot help you. Something security, you need to call your provider. And then I was like, but nothing, everything was up and running. I was like, that doesn't make sense. So then I was like, let me reset the PC. We'll see what happens there. And sure enough, resetting it, it is up and running. So that was really interesting. And then all of a sudden it said my security, the antivirus said, thank you. We reset everything for you. And now everything's up to date. And I'm like, did you shut everything down without my permission? It just stopped everything. But that makes sense now.
America Girl 120, because you can't hear two people talking at the same time. Very irritating.
In the Commonwealth of Virginia to basically Fairfax the rest of Virginia. Well, that's basically what I'm calling it because
I don't know when that was, so sorry about that. I was running the sound. Anyway, thanks for joining us, America Girl.
She's on what stream?
Rumble.
Well, hello there, American Girl.
She's got a great avatar. It's Trump with some sunglasses on with his middle finger up.
What's up, America Girl? It was a pleasure. Let her know that we are an open live show, so you can ask questions and make fun of the people here, especially the guy who has the 5-finger forehead. That's not me. I got 3, baby. That's what's up.
Anyway, America Girl, another new viewers. I see we've got a bunch of people watching. We had a bunch of people join us on X today too, and LinkedIn. So thank you very much to everyone. Normally between 12 and 2 p.m. every day, every weekday, we are a financial talk show talking about the top traded markets for day traders. Bitcoin, gold, silver, NASDAQ, crude oil, copper, all those types of things. But we love to talk politics and the news as well. And whatever we get sidetracked on. Today we get sidetracked on the World Economic Forum and Mr. Trump's speech over there after yesterday having to listen to Mr. Carney say that the U.S. was out, just declaring unilaterally that the U.S. was out and Canada was now in as the hegemon of the world, which is laughable. the middle countries, meaning Canada and the European nations individually, not as the EU, everyone's gonna partner with China, and then they'll be done with the U.S. And then all of a sudden, everybody will be living in poverty.
Well, here's the interesting thing behind all of that. As Americans, we can very much self-sustain in a lot of our things, right? Like we can do business with each other. We establish everything, and that's what brings strength to a nation, is doing when that business does business within itself. That brings commerce between individuals, and then you have more jobs being created that creates need. And so if you don't have outside sourcing, and if you want to be done with America, I think America would be like, okay, cool. Well, don't forget, we have the strongest military, 1. 2, if you really want to push, if you're going to do that, then I think America will very much say, okay, we're cool with that. We're going to take those South America, Chile, and a few of the other people who are doing business with China. Yeah, you're not there no more. Like, I could see America asking, and we've talked about this earlier, Argentina, I could see them using El Salvador, BRICS for Brazil, saying, come knocking there, hey, look, they're screwing you over when it comes to this. How about this? Going into Mexico, saying, we'll just back you. We'll absolutely back you and take care of things and make sure that the cartel system is no longer there. I can't see them not wanting to. We talked about my cousin, who is literally, like half my family literally is just immigrants that came over from Mexico, first illegally, then legally. But in the same sense, like my cousin, who was once who got out of college with a history and a HR degree, realized that like there's a lot of in Mexico. What's the word I want to use? I want to be careful here. And her words were a victimization mentality. And she goes back, stemming all the way from the Spain and Mexican War, and then from there how it moved forward, and then America coming in and taking things, and just how they want to blame everybody versus going through and nation up. That is interesting. Wait, what just happened? Sorry. My PC, I have a new widget. It says widgets.
Important conversation happening in that room. They'll move on to dinner, and we will continue to cover their movements.
Anyways, long story short, I just see America saying, fine, if you're not going to use us, we're cool with that. We'll be more centralist, and we'll take care of the Southern Hemisphere and handle business, and we just make them prosperous. I mean, I don't think Malay is going to be against us. I don't think Bukele will fight against us. Was it Chile? Who was it?
The new guy in Chile is a conservative.
Yeah. And he's gonna, pull away from socialism down there and really just start hitting hard on capitalism, saying, look, let's start producing. And once those small nations really start kicking butt, which in a matter of probably 5 to 10 years from now, as it starts to happen, and we start to do commerce with them and starts to move forward, I mean, would it not be behoovant to, let's say, people who are coming in from Mexico say, well, let's go to Chile now, let's go to El Salvador. And El Salvador has seen an increase like nobody's ever seen, right? Same thing now. Malay is having issues, right, concerning the things, because a lot of things that are happening there, but we're starting to see a turnaround over in Malay, what Malay is doing. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here when it comes to...
Just quickly with Malay and Argentina. he imposed a bunch of big changes when he took office. Of which a lot of those have multi-year repercussions. And like when you fundamentally change how an economy works, how the government spending works, you see results 2, 3, and 4 years down the road that are unintended, or just intended, but just, one of the things they lost. There was a lot of people in the construction industry that were just building state-funded infrastructure that didn't really work. They're if a typical construction project had 100 people, their typical construction project had 500 people. And you're like, wait a minute, what's going on there? And it's, it was essentially the socialism at work, guaranteeing people's jobs and all that. And that's why they were printing their money to zero, because they didn't earn enough money in taxes to do all this. Milei stopped all that and said we can only build what we can afford. And so you have, you had unemployment, and the economy is resetting. And, he almost took a beating at one of the elections, and was actually burning up a bunch of their foreign currency. And the United States came to the rescue and gave him a big, giant line of credit for foreign exchange and helped them out dramatically. Pedro, I want to pivot a little bit to Jamie Dimon saying what he shouldn't. I don't think he realized that he said it. But he's talking about, Trump said it's ridiculous that people have to pay 29, 30% interest rates. And Jamie Dimon came out and said, look, it would explode the credit card industry. And he said the banks would just end up canceling people's accounts because they need those high rates in order to earn money. And big money. It's one of the most profitable things a bank can do is run credit cards. But also, it has to cover the fraud and all that type of stuff. And the internet was immediately filled with people saying, hey, we can actually end fraud with credit cards. You guys just need to build it into the infrastructure to do it. And they're like, the U.S. banks resisted chip cards for years, like almost traveled all over the world. And they had chip cards that, that just couldn't be swiped everywhere. Just, in the US we had cards with magnetic things on it, and guys would just walk up, swipe the card, or put a reader thing on the checkout. You'd swipe it, it would just clone your card. Boop. My card bought a whole bunch of gasoline in Santa Monica one year when I wasn't living there. And the US resisted it for ages. Finally, I called my bank like every month, said, when are you guys going to get the chip cards? It's ridiculous that we have to do this old school way. And finally they did, and now everyone's card's a chip card, that type of stuff. But what Jamie Dimon said, he said, first of all, he said, why don't you try it in Vermont and Massachusetts, because that's where Bernie and Elizabeth Warren are senators, and they're pushing this. This is like they want this because they're in for banking reform. What Jamie said, he said it would be an economic disaster. The worst case, you have a drastic reduction of the credit card business for 80% of Americans. Banks have pushed back against voluntarily foregoing billions of dollars in revenue. He said their main argument is that price controls result in lenders canceling accounts for card customers. Let's see. Hold on. Where does it say? He says it'll be the restaurants, the retailers, the travel companies, the schools, the municipalities, because people will be missing their water payments, he said. It would be something else to watch. Now, let's break down that statement. When I read it, I was like, hey, that doesn't make sense. And all of a sudden it made sense. What he's saying is that without credit cards, without going into debt, he said, we want the typical American family to have to go into debt to pay their basic utility bills. That is essentially what he said in this statement right here. He said people won't be able to pay their water bills unless they have credit. He wants to keep that status quo, which is true. A lot of families do get certain times of the year. They're like, holy shit, we spent too much money at Christmas, this kind of stuff. They have to go into debt. Remember, credit cards are debt. It's not an asset. It's not something good on your balance sheet. You owe that money. You have to pay it back a lot more than you borrowed from them for paying your water bill. And he just came right out and said, look, we want people paying their water bills on credit. In other words, we want people to be reliant on banks just to make their basic utility payments. And that's why JP Morgan made $25 billion last quarter. $25 billion. A lot of it in investment banking, of course. A lot of it in credit cards. I mean, it really is. It is criminal. And I don't understand why someone doesn't come out. Another bank. I don't know why it's not competitive. Why aren't banks? Wait, I know why it's not competitive, because they're colluding together to not be competitive. But they should be competitive, in which Pedro should open a bank and say, all right, I'm only going to charge 9%. And for a while, it'll only be the top credit people until we got our business model started. And then we'll open it up to more people. We'll have right from the start, we'll have extra controls. Every time the card is used, you'll have to tap on your phone. Yes, that's me doing it. So it'll eliminate fraud. And I don't understand why we can't do that. I mean, like I said, I do, because the banks are colluding. For a long time, the banks owned Visa and MasterCard. And then the banks spun them off into their own publicly traded companies. So now one would think we can compete against them. But we can't, and the rates stay high. I don't understand it, other than Jamie Dimon saying, we want Americans to have to go into debt to make their basic payments. It's ridiculous.
Well, you know what it's like, right? The pharmaceutical companies. We fund the world's initiative to go globalization. Meaning, I don't know who brought the idea up to Clinton to have the transatlantic union, right? I don't know who brought up the idea to Bush Jr. to circumvent and create the Patriot Act. Seemed great, but then a lot of these things started happening where rights that Americans gave up. Then from there, we see everything kind of crash, because there are certain initiatives that were also put in that allowed credit to get out of whack with the housing market. Then from there, we saw Obama again take away many other basic rights, and then allowed the U.S. government go through. And this is where a lot of that indictments against Obama and Clinton's are starting to come from, the Trump administration. But again, this is really important, that I'm skeptical of Trump as well. So I don't want you to think like but if you follow the fingerprints of everything and how things have gotten to a point where we're at right now, where under the Biden administration, and this was done under the Bush and Obama administration, where they changed many of the metrics for the government financial reports. And because of that, they were able then to circumvent actually giving us real reports based off of the financial status of what America's going through. And because of that, now we're in a predicament where banks can literally have Americans live off of high interest rates because of the last 25, 30 years of policies that have been established in America. And they have gotten many banks very wealthy, especially top banks like JP Morgan. And then they've created the World Economic Forum throughout this period. And then they're now wanting I feel like they were literally about to, because if America had voted Kamala in, America would be done. Like, we would be a socialist nation. Like, because at that time period, we'd seen about, I think, 10 to 20 million. We'll keep it low. 10 million people coming in, and they were gerrymandering many of the voting districts. And in this aspect, they were able to. And again, I don't even think that Biden, I don't think they fully, truly understand, because all that they see is from China and many other big banks giving them so much money that they're like, America's strong, we'll be able to weather this. I'm going to believe that. I'm not going to sit there and really believe that they were trying to really see a downfall of America. But banks see the wealth of 300 to 1.4 billion people over in China, and with the promise of, we can give you access to our people. All of a sudden, banks sit there and say, if we become globalized and we start to see this happening, we can really make a lot of money here. And so that's what we've seen. And again, this is one big conspiracy theory. And I was very kind of choice in my words to make sure that I just hit certain points. I skipped over a lot of metrics here. But if you follow that point, that print, the prints there, right? And if you want to, we can go to Bush and somewhat Reagan, right? Reagan did kind of screw a couple things up, or banksters, but if you see where
but one of the big things that happened was I forget which act it was, but it previously, banks that took consumer deposits were not allowed to be in the investment banking world. And so banks that did both had completely separate arms, like a CEO of one division, CEO of another division, and you saw every community have local banks. There's tons of, Chicago's filled with all those beautiful stone front places of the local community bank. And then the government, the banking industry said, hey, you know what, we really want all the money under one roof here, so let's get rid of this and allow banks that take consumer deposits to be in the investment banking world too, with guardrails, they called it. That went really well in 2008. And it decimated the banking industry. I mean, the U.S. still has something like 6,000 banks, but we had 42,000 banks. Every town had its local bank. Every town had its regional bank, and every town had a branch of a federally chartered bank too. And people got to pick and choose. They had different products. They had different stuff. You could go in, if you knew the guy that ran the local bank, he could say, hey, George, I need a mortgage. I need to buy a house. I'm a little thin right now, but you know my history. We play cards at the club. You know what's going on. And they would do that. And they'd say, okay, yeah, I know you, and that type of stuff. Now everything's just big banking. They charge you exorbitant fees for everything. And we essentially have like 4 major banks, and then, a bunch of community credit unions and that type of stuff. And all of the presidents along the way, no matter what party you are, contributed to that. And for the same reason I talk about all the time. The banking lobby is the biggest and best lobbying group on the planet. They lobby every level of government, from your park ranger to the president of the United States. And they lobby them well. They lobby them so well, they got the whole crypto bill changed into a banking bill. It's like all the crypto people are like, this doesn't even make sense anymore. In fact, it's going to make it worse. And better to have no bill than this one.
I think they did it on purpose, because they knew that Trump is going to want to push that through. And he was talking about it today. So they knew, like, if they can get, somebody's going to have to sit down and explain to Trump, look, no, this is going to screw what you're trying to do and destroy your ability with the stable coin and how you're trying to weave that. Because if you can't charge interest, who's going to want to buy your stable coin?
Right.
Who's going to want it? who's going to buy the treasuries. The Federal Reserve needs to be able to keep the standard system that they have. And if they can basically take the teeth out of stable coins, then you basically have nothing but a gummy grandma teeth, a gummy grandma mouth, or a baby mouth with no teeth. Because if you can't give better interest, well, then the banks are better positioned to take care of everybody. Anyways, are not better. You know, it's just you're not going to put your money into a stable coin unless you're going to buy crypto and just sit there and just wait. And then everybody then has to start using again the SWIFT system, which is more of a CBDC. Go ahead, man. Sorry, I just went. Go ahead.
No, it's just commenting about the banks in general. I had another article here I was wanting to share. Where did that page go here? No more Carney and Trump. Oh yeah, in Virginia. If you recall, Virginia is one of those closely states that just had an election for governor, and it was very close. And at the last minute, the Democratic candidate eked out a victory. And she ran on a very moderate platform. You know, tough on crime, fiscal responsibility, all this type of stuff. And apparently she won over a lot of the people that were just really, you know, they voted for Trump and voted Republican, but were like, let's try a Democrat now. But the problem is that the Democrats now have control of the governor in Virginia and the House and Senate. And so the new governor, who came in saying she was going to be a moderate and not crazy, immediately went full crazy. In fact, the thing she campaigned on, she said during the campaign, said we would continue to comply with all law enforcement, and it's better when they all work together. As soon as she gets in office, executive order saying no law enforcement agent may work with ICE. Just flip-flopped. Reduced mandatory minimum sentencing. She was like, no, you know, we're going to get rid of it. Campaigning. She's like, no, it's working okay. It's yada yada. I don't want to mess with that. First day in office, I was getting rid of mandatory minimum sentencing. In every state where we've seen that happen, Pedro, crime is absolutely exploded. It just absolutely exploded. Oh, another car chase leads to shooting involving federal agent. Okay, that's going to be bad news. Prioritizing DEI in government contract. When she was running, she didn't mention anything about that. As soon as she gets in office, everything has to have every government contract has to have a DEI component, including saying that just any contract under $100,000 has to go to a women-owned business or other equity-deserving group. Just saying, if you're a white man and you have if you're an entrepreneur and you're white and a male, forget it. Forget it. Most contracts, government release, Pedro, are small contracts. They're not all big multi-trillion-dollar contracts, especially state governments. Most of the stuff they buy is small contracts. And she's saying, nope, sorry, white man, you can't participate in the economy anymore, which is crazy. And then she is changing the Constitution, pushing to change the Constitution for, I'm not going to even use the word, but it has to do with Planned Parenthood and stuff. And she ran on the principle of not messing with that. It's like, our laws are fine right now, everything's good. And then as soon as she got in office, flip-flopped. And that's what we're seeing. I mentioned this with the issue with Mr. Carney earlier. I don't know if you were on or not, but his actions don't match his words. And when that happens, you have to worry about politicians. You may disagree with Mr. Trump, but his actions and his words are the same. He says, we're going to do that, we're going to do that. He says, I'm going to try that, he's going to try that. It's the same with Mr. Carney saying, oh yeah, we're going to do all this kind of stuff, and then he gets in office and none of that happens. Everything people wanted more infrastructure, more spending in Canada, not outside of Canada, on infrastructure. None of it happened. And same thing in Virginia, but the opposite. So, we're not going to mess with that. We're not going to mess with that. As soon as she gets in office, she's like, yeah, we're going to go full crazy and do everything that the voters didn't really say that didn't vote for me to do. Big problem in politics. Big problem in politics of people getting fooled.
But here's my question, right? I think this is like one of those things that I think is really important, though. If that's what they're doing, then can't people see what's happening, or are they being blinded to it?
It's too late. She's in office.
No, it's not. You go through and you say, no, we're not going to have this. You literally lied. And then you revert everything back. I mean, this is the part that I think this, as Americans, as us as Americans, you cannot outright lie to us and then do something totally different. Like you can't, there's got to be something now where you get reprimanded, where it's like, at least like you said with Trump, like people did vote to get Americans out, or not Americans out, to get Americans back to work. We did vote for, we don't like the border wide open, shut the border. He did it. There's a lot of things that he's done. And you can't hear two people talking at the same time.
That was a comment from a long time ago.
Sorry. ADD's kicking in. There's got to be, we've got to create something where it's, if you honestly say something and you do some opposite, you've got to immediately leave. Like if it's right off the jump, you've got to, at least with Biden said, I'm going to shut this down. I'm going to shut this down. We're going to run a complete liberal. He just said it. And so people said, we want that. We're going to vote for that. And then they realized, oh shoot, that's not good. Right? At least I respect that. Right? And America's like, nope, we're done with that. Peace. But when you as a governor say one thing and you do an opposite, completely opposite, you've got to go. Like this is the people got to sit there, a large portion of the people who said, yeah, this is what we want. And then you do the opposite. You just got to go, no, you got to go. Sorry. I mean, 4 years, or no, every 2 years, right? Governorship is 2 years.
It's either 4 or 5, depending on the state.
Sorry, my bad. But I just think that's crazy. It's just, it's not, you can't do that. It's just, you cannot do that. It's not.
What are you going to do? Hold people accountable or something?
No, right?
Pedro, why don't we talk, let's head back to crypto. Crypto Mike pipes up, says, hey, what'd I miss? Oh, you missed quite the day. Actually, at the beginning of the show, we talked about, we listened to Donald Trump's speech and did a lot of commenting about the World Economic Forum and the things that go on there, that they're either part of the forum, which is a disaster policy, or the things that go on around it that are not affiliated with it, that are good for businesses and networking and that type of stuff. Then talking about how the markets have reacted here.
Man, this crude oil trade did me good. I got in and on it back in, like when it started to show strength here. Boom, man. Back when was it? That was 720, 820, 920. 920. I get in on this at 9:20 this morning. Went sideways. I was like, all right, well, I guess it might stop me out. It was showing everything perfect, and it just shot up. Okay, this is a bomb. Sorry, this is a great trade.
The price of oil shot up, like I said yesterday. It looks like price of oil going up.
No, not like that. I mean, like I said, it's kinda. I mean, but no. I'm just. It's got it. There's a racetrack up. It's gonna go up to go down. And so that's, but it's not. I mean, we're talking $1 push up, maybe from 60.12 to 60.77 as of right now. I'm expecting it to go to 61.37 potentially at the end of the racetrack, or like just an easy rally up to a certain point. So just came down, bounced off the 8 period, and then decided to move up. But yes, I guess, Tom, you were right. It did go up. I was wrong. But it's nice. It was a nice little trade. Got long on S&P 500. I should probably just post these ones. If you guys want to see the posts, oh, I should post them here. Oh, that sucks. Do I have them? Yeah, I do. I posted them in my trading group. I'll post them after the show. I don't want to open that up. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of stuff going on. Let's check out what's actually happening here in these trades. It's real interesting that we're actually starting to see the DXY as well as the USDX.
Oh, that's what I wanted to mention was dollar dominance.
Yeah. So we're starting to see, it's come down to this area that we've talked about for almost, I mean, how long was this? We talked about it when it was at 107 back last year during Trump's administration. We called it Trumpian trade. And we talked about it coming all the way down daily. You guys can go back and look at our administration. What did we call it? That show where we did 6 hours.
The inauguration show.
The inauguration show, back in January 20th. We talked about it going from like 109 all the way down to the 100 area and potentially getting down to that 94, 95 area. And we saw it kind of just tumble down here. And then after that, we talked about it starting to rally from that 95 area back all the way up to, we talked about 103 area, 102, 103. It came all the way up to the 101 or to the 100 area and then pulled back. In the same sense, now we're starting to see more volume kind of step in, where people are kind of buying us. But more importantly, with the sell that we've seen for the last few days, we're not really seeing much supply wicks. So that means that I truly don't see banks wanting to truly sell off hard the US dollar. If anything, they're pulling back to an area where there's potential buyers, so they continue it all the way back up. So the next position that I'm really looking at is that 101 potentially, that this area up here at this level where the 400-day period moving average. So this is the next big trade on the US dollar dominance here. As we start to see, if people are going to really start pulling away, the banks are going to push this market up first and then drop it. Right, but that's not what they're doing in essence, right? We're watching them. Even when they do sell it, they don't put in a bunch of seller wicks. A lot of times you can see they're buying up dollars, right? Push it up to bring it down to buy. So that's one of those things I'm looking at going, oh, great thing. I mean, it's like I always say, I don't care what you say. I want to see where you put your money at, right? And the banks are putting their money at really to go through and to continue this up. So this is where they're just pushing up to bring it back down. And this is a monthly chart. Weekly chart looks similar. You can see coming down, they're buying as they're pushing up. Every time you see it go down, they buy. And so they want to push up the US dollar. They definitely want to. Trump wants to keep it low so that makes America more advantageous to do business with. So they're trying to fight Trump in that sense, and this is the banks. This is what the banks are trying to do. They're fighting with that.
One of the reasons I bring up the dollar dominance is because we have people like Canada's Mark Carney and the China's President Xi talking about the end of, the U.S. being the hegemon of the world, not just militarily, but economically. Yet, as we always say, people vote with their money, including politicians that say one thing and do something else. And with the strength of the U.S. dollar, and not just in terms of the dollar index, which it's compared with I can't remember the other currencies that it's compared against, but in the
Japanese yen and euro.
In the liquidity around the world of U.S. dollars is also measured, and that's also a massive. Like I said, every financial institution in the world can get however many U.S. dollars they want to back their government's needs for it. I mean, the Bank of Kazakhstan can go to their correspondent bank and say, we need to buy 16, boatloads or oil tankers to move our oil around. And the Central Bank of Kazakhstan or Bank of Almaty or whatever, go to their correspondent bank and say we need U.S. dollars, and they say, all right, you put up the equity for it, and boom, they do that. They got the U.S. dollars. They can do that. You can't do that in other currencies. You can almost do it in euros, and pounds, but not as quick as dollars, and with less risk and currency exchange risk being low as well, because it takes a lot. As you know, Pedro, that dollar index market, it takes a lot of trading and a lot of volume to move that thing significantly.
Yeah.
And even though we complain, we're like, oh my gosh, it's gone between 104 and 99. Oh my God. Other currencies go between 50 and 150, and they go whoop, 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 whoop. And the Forex traders hammer them and hammer people that make deals in those currencies.
Yeah, they do.
And so it just, until, like I always tell people, until you can get credit all over the world in in a different currency, until someone says, we don't need to use the dollar, we can use the Indian rupees, or now any bank can get as much as they want and everyone takes it and there's no currency risk, you'll not see the decline of the dollar or the decline of the country that backs the dollar, and that's the United States. It's just, it's one of those things, because people vote with their money. Risk managers of every country around the world don't want to get fired. They get fired when they make bad decisions and the company loses money. And so what do? They risk averse, risk on, risk off. And in international trade, you want risk off, man, because bad things happen in international trade. So you want to limit your risk. And you do that, one of the ways you do that, limiting your foreign currency exchange exposure. So we're just doing dollars. Done. Easy, done, no risk. And until you get all those people change their minds and say, okay, we want to use Michael Saylor's Bitcoin company, Treasury, to do it, they're not going to do anything else. Maybe they'll do it in pounds, in British pounds. They can do some things in euros. But it's just, I mean, I don't have to be a central banker of Canada and central banker of England to know these things. And I don't have to have a Harvard degree like Mr. Carney does to know these things. All we do is look at the charts that you show us. You look at the chart. What does Pedro say? Dollar strong.
Starting to get stronger.
Right, getting stronger again. And that's because people trust it. And you can't avoid that. It's not an avoidable thing for other countries. They can't say, they tried, India tried, said, all right, we're going to do all of our oil deals in rupees. And the Minister of Finance for India, after a couple of months of trying it, said, forget that. That was a mistake. We're not doing that anymore. Because they got hammered by the Forex traders. They paid much higher credit insurance, and they had foreign exchange issues. When they would have to go direct to Kazakhstan and buy hundreds of billions of rupees worth of stuff, all of a sudden the Kazakhstani Forex market goes crazy, and things change. The U.S. dollar is so liquid that it's almost impossible for one party to move it. Even the U.S. government can't move it, because the whole world is out there holding dollars and saying, oh, maybe we don't want the value of it to go up. We want it to stay down, or the other way around.
Right, depending on when they bought it too. So if they bought it at 109, but I mean,
true.
Any money manager would have been would have understood what Trump was trying to do. I mean, he made it very clear what he's trying to do. So they all shorted the dollar because they knew that the governmental policies were going to favor a low dollar. I mean, I'm not educated, right? I just look at the charts. I wouldn't say that, but I could figure that out. I wouldn't call myself remotely even an intelligent person. I would just say that I'm a dude who looks at charts, and I could see lines being put in where we saw the market dropping. And so on that back end, like, these guys are, Harvard graduates, so they shorted that market. They shorted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yep.
Yes, I can.
So it's my PC. I got to get a new PC. All right. At least now that I know that, I'll buy one here. Yeah, it's very frustrating. Like, when I sit there. So I'll pose. Let me pose an idea towards you, because I think it's like really a thought-provoking idea. When you look at what Trump is trying to do from a global standpoint, if you can get America to really start doing business within itself, where it creates jobs within its own nation, right? Whereas we start to do business with one another, whether you have a US dollar drop or US dollar rally, it's not going to really affect us, because we're pulling resources from here or locally, let's say in Mexico or in other places, where we don't have to worry about having to pay an extreme amount, as long as we're doing business with each other. A strong dollar would not matter versus a weak dollar, at least when it comes to us, because our value is equal to one another when you're in business. Versus, let's say we do business with India, we do business with another country. They would sit there and be like, man, you know what, we can buy a lot more of US goods and services because we have a higher currency compared to the US dollar. This is why China has consistently manipulated the yuan to keep it low, so that people want to continue doing business with them. So on the back end, if America becomes a centralist country, meaning that we focus within each other and keep building business, this actually betters the American people. Hence, we can produce our stuff at lower pricing. And so it's going to be really interesting to see, as Trump is moving forward here with what he's trying to do, and if he can get the rest of the world and basically fight the cronies or the banksters and get them to buy our U.S. debt through cryptocurrency stablecoins. And then in addition to that, he can then get many other businesses to come into America to do business with us. That this is going to be a major move for us as Americans. Now, it's very important to understand that this could be thwarted by one thing and one thing only: who you elect in your local government. If you bring in people who is opposed to Trump trying to make moves in America, then guess what? They can then move forward in keeping you from, well, a prosperous America. So my thought process to you guys, an interesting thought, is how you communicate to your friends about Trump and how you're trying to communicate and understand them. You need to be careful. You need to understand what Trump is trying to do, as well as understand kind of the global setting and how he's trying to build. And you need to feed this idea of, literally, if Trump's system doesn't work, because we're already down this road, there's no going back. Like, there's no going back, because we burnt that bridge. It's already burned. Like, China is not going to start doing major business with America anymore. Like, we already know Europe is like, F you. Now, they will do consistent business with us because they need to, as Tom talks about. But to really build it up, that's not happening. So Americans, we need to become more centrist in understanding who we bring into office now will either determine your children's success or your children's success. Will we look like America, current, and prosperous, or are we going to look like Argentina when before Malay stepped in, or before Malay stepped in, because they were the darling of. I mean, during this period in time when they were the darling, America wasn't even as prosperous as Argentina was. They weren't, and because of the policies and the politicians that they brought into office, it completely crippled the local politicians they brought into office, crippled their nation, and basically put them into about 80 years, 100 years of just not prosperity. The other word for prosperity.
Success? High standard.
The opposite. No, opposite of prosperity is
poor.
Whatever, dude. Basically made their country poor, and it just decimated their home. I literally have the thought. I literally have the word right here, and it's just not being released.
Here, lean in a little closer. Lean in just a little bit.
Right. Right. It makes me look like an idiot. But in that same sense, I'm just saying, like, you need to think about that. You need to have a thought process in your own head, communicating with your friends around you, because we're at that point now. Whereas if in this next election cycle, if we see a huge push during midterms and we see Democrats get in, or Democrats that lean more centric and then get in, like we just saw with the Virginia governor, that is going to decimate America over the next 5 to 10 years. It will, and then there's no going back. There will be no going back, and the banks will have won, and
Sorry.
That was perfect.
Did you hear that? Did I just feed a bunch of feedback into your ear?
No, but
oh, sorry. I clicked a button over here, and all of a sudden I was hearing.
No, I heard that. It was perfect because I finished.
Oh. I can't. You know what, Pedro? You're right, though. I can't stress that the younger generation come up understand that elections have consequences. And the New York City people are going to find that out pretty soon, because they for the first time in a long time apparently had a lot of the younger crowd that usually didn't vote. Younger meaning just in their 20s. I don't mean 18-year-olds. I mean most 20-year-olds. Turns out they don't vote. They vote very low percentages, and they had a higher percentage and they elected the socialists. And they're about to find out that elections have consequences, and they'll find that out in Virginia too. As they have a Democrat stronghold on all of the institutions there. They're going to put in policies that they just, we couldn't wait to get these things in. Yes, more woke for everybody. Everyone gets to wear a clown hat and a clown suit to work. Businesses right now, they flock to certain parts of Virginia because of the federal government. Like when we have Justin on the Crypto Swamp Creatures, that whole western part or eastern part of Virginia is where all the Beltway bandits are. And you're going to see them just like, this is a bad plan for us. And they're just, there's a lot of states right in that area that they can move to. Or they can just move to Texas like everyone else is doing, and be done with that. And so we'll I'll keep an eye on Virginia this next year and see how the governor's policies work out. But she's already raising taxes too. I think I didn't get to that one. That she said she wasn't going to raise taxes. Now she's raising taxes on everything, including your dry cleaning. There's a new 11% tax on all sorts of things. Why? Because they're going to get worse prices when they only allow certain people to bid. When you only allow certain people to bid for contracts, you get way worse pricing because you don't get a competitive bid. And so they're going to pay more. So good job, the electorate of Virginia. You did a good job with your elections there. You're screwed. Get ready for higher prices on everything.
Well, it's going to be really interesting.
Pedro. It's 2:15.
You gotta go.
I have, not immediately, I mean, we can wind this down here. I have the in-laws coming in here for some birthday celebrations, not mine or Mrs. Striking, but from some in-law stuff. Which means, what do husbands have to do when the in-laws come?
I don't know.
They have to clean their bathrooms. That's my job for this afternoon. Clean the bathroom. Why? Because somebody other than your wife is going to be using it. Thought I'd interject a little humor at the end of the show there.
I would think
that has nothing to do with that. It doesn't mean it's dirty. It still has to be clean. You could have thoroughly cleaned it yesterday, but as soon as the in-laws are coming and or other guests staying, that means there's a whole new protocol for cleaning.
What are you going to clean when it's already clean?
It requires a top-to-bottom wipe down, the glass in the shower, you name it. Everything's got to be good. So I have a big job ahead of me. It's going to be my afternoon. My afternoon was going to be watching my trade workout. When I was waiting, I was on Bitcoin. I was a little suspicious of the market because of the speeches going on. And so, I talk about one of the trade setups I have being when the price action comes above the 200 period moving average. And I watched it do that on the 1 minute chart. And I said, oh, this is good, but not strong enough for me yet. I watched it do it on the 5 minute chart. I'm like, this is good. And it was getting close to the 15 minute chart. And I was like, if the model forms and the price breaks through the 200 period moving average on the 15, I'm gonna go long. And it rejected right off the 200. Boop. And I was like, all right, well, so no trade for me today, which means plenty of time to clean the bathroom.
For whatever reason, my internet is not wanting to go even connect to that stinks. I don't even know what to do now. It's not even the help button that says fix it. It's saying there's no app that is associated with this function.
I think you're gonna have to do the hello tech support. Hello there. Have a good day. My name is Peter. How may I help you today? I hope you have local tech support.
We do. They're actually American, so.
Yeah, mine's like a guy down the street. It's like he said, and I get him when I call back. It's like, oh, hey, Tom, it's Jim again. I'm like, oh, hey, Jim. It's the strangest thing. I know. I'm like, how did I get you back? He said, well, I'm on the desk. I'm just you? He goes, yeah. He said, we don't have a lot of problems. I was like, okay.
Well, I've got to sit there and fight this thing now because I don't even know what's happening.
Did you get a whole new wireless router and stuff?
Yep.
And you connect to it via wire.
Yep.
You know what? When you were earlier, I can see that it says for your cell phone it's connected. It says it's connected via your Wi-Fi is connected. Is your cell phone's Wi-Fi connected but just not working?
Probably. Yeah. So let me let you go, man, because I gotta take care of this. I got a bunch of things I gotta get done. But guys, have a safe day. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday, and we'll go over some stuff I'm looking at here. I have a trade that I'm looking kind of a long-term trade here, and we'll see how it plays off. We're kind of setting it up right now, so we'll see if we're going to see a big rally in the dollar here. So we'll talk about that.
All right. Well, thank you, Pedro, for helping us sign off. I'm going to spend a second here finding someone to raid here. We got to do 2 more raids here. Might as well pick someone here. Let's pick the guys from Simply Bitcoin here. How about that? All right, everybody. I'm going to send us off into a raid for Simply Bitcoin. When you get there, please participate in the raid. It helps us out. When you get there, say Pedro and Striking sent from DYOR Media sent you. Enjoy the show from Simply Bitcoin. They always have a good show. And enjoy your day. Pedro and I will see you tomorrow. So here you go. Off to the raid, ladies and gentlemen. Raid confirmed. Rallying the troops. DYOR Media is raided. Anyway, so the rest of you that are still watching here, have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. As always, kabong!
Good Lord, this guy.